been running Google Ads for the past 7 years now, and after generating over $100 million across 500 different e-commerce brands, I came to realize that Google Ads works based off of a few laws. You could even call these laws the rule book of the Google Ads platform. And I was fortunate enough to figure out these different laws earlier on in my Google Ads journey, because it ended up saving me hundreds of thousands of dollars in wasted ad spend. So in this video, I want to give you the 10 laws of Google Ads which you must know at any given time if you're running an e-commerce brand which uses Google Ads as a way to gain traffic. The first law which you must know about is that scale is found on the back end with Google Ads. When I say the back end, I'm referring to things such as the product feed, what you do within the Google Merchant Center, the information you submitted regarding your product, like product key identifiers, the specific colors, categories, etc. of your product, what you do with the titles, images, descriptions, if you have a proper SEO strategy or not, even what you do with things like reviews, if you have specific promos or not. All of these things, including your landing page experience, determine the back end of your Google Ads account. And this back end, if it's not powerful enough, if it's not stable enough, it will not be able to scale your Google Ads account and your Google Ads campaigns, regardless of how good your campaign strategy is. So this brings me to the second law, which is the algorithm cannot be bribed. Now, working off of the first law, what you want to understand is the back end is where majority of your scale is found, which means you cannot bribe the algorithm by having a high bid, by spending a tons of money with Google Ads campaigns, hoping the algorithm now suddenly starts favoring your brand versus these other brands. Reality is, ultimately, Google wants the best brands on its platform, so the users who are searching for products, they continue to not only shop with these brands, but come back on a recurring manner to consistently buy from these brands. This is where Google truly makes majority of its scale and truly finds a lot of its success. And you need to be on Google's side. You need to make sure your brand has a high quality presence so that Google Ads can think of your brand as a long-term kind of partner and start sending you high quality traffic without you having to bribe it, because bribing does not work in 2024 and onwards with Google. This brings me to the third law on the list, which is the Google Ads ecosystem is what drives scale in total. Now, I have seen so many brands when I'm auditing them under my Google Ads agency or marketing, which, by the way, if you're running a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling to the very next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But the perfect approach for Google Ads, doesn't matter the industry or niche your brand is in, is something I call the Google Ads ecosystem approach, where it basically takes this cold traffic approach, gives it a certain percentage of your budget, but at the same time incorporates a certain level of approach and strategy for retargeting purposes, for hot and warm traffic. When you have this kind of balance between the two, that's when you create something called the Google Ads ecosystem. And this ecosystem is what truly drives the scale forward for majority of these brands. This brings me to the fourth law of Google Ads, which is average order value and click-through rates drive scale. If you are getting 10 people on your website, but now you increase your click-through rate, you can get 50 people on your website for the same ad spend. And that's a big difference, because now that means you can get 5x more sales, 10x more sales, depending on the quality of these people, depending on the quality of your ad. So at any given time, focus on average order value or click-through rate. This is one of the laws of Google Ads. And this will further increase your profitability. This will further get you to the secondary metrics which you are focused on. But if you just from the start focus on these secondary metrics like ROAS, cost per acquisition, you can't really do much about them directly. This brings me to the next law on the list, which is policy violations and bad products are parasites within your Google Ads account. So many e-commerce stores out there run on policy violations. They see the policy violations are there, but they never do anything about it. Same thing with the bad products within the campaigns. If you have a testing campaign, if you're scaling certain products within a campaign and you notice some products are just not good, they're bad, if you still let these things run, they end up acting as parasites because they bring down everything that's working. For the bad products, you can give them their own separate approaches. That usually ends up working the best. You don't have to just completely get rid of them. But this brings us to the next kind of law on the list, which is keep new customers separate from retargeting. Going back to the Google Ads ecosystem, if you have cold traffic versus retargeting, naturally you should be having campaigns which are only focused on acquisition only, and you should have the other campaign types be focused on retargeting acquisition only. This is where you keep things separate, where you keep the budget separate for each of these, and this is where that ecosystem is developed. Because again, the moment you mix both of these together, what's going to happen is now the algorithm is going to start focusing on its own more on retargeting, because the retargeting is the easiest way for the algorithm to basically prop up its scale, prop up the revenue numbers, ROAS numbers, so it can spend more money for you. And at the end of the day, Google wants to spend your money. And this brings me to the next law on the list, which is segregation of your products, of your campaigns, guides the algorithm. Now, segregation in terms of products, very simple. You want it to be focused on similarities, whether it's product collections, product pricing, margins, etc. You can choose the way you want it to be. You never want to just push a bunch of random products together. Some products $10, other products $9,000. These are very different from each other. The users that would buy each of these are different. The way they think is different. You don't want to confuse the algorithm by just jamming all these together, because this ultimately will make it very difficult for your brand to scale long term. So segregation of some sort is crucial if you want to scale, which brings me to the 8th law on the list, which is display traffic is for brand awareness. I can't believe I have to say this, but if you are trying to run display traffic campaigns, like just a display campaign in general, or demand gen or discovery, etc., keep in mind these are for demand generation. These are to get your brand clicks and traffic. They're not there to get you very high profitable sales. It's a piece of the funnel which basically guides your shopping and PMAX and search campaigns towards better quality traffic, because now those campaigns will use the data from this display traffic campaigns to further become smarter, to further use those keywords, but to go after a higher quality audience. This brings me to the 9th law on the list, which is vertical scaling does not work without horizontal scaling. You need a form of horizontal scaling, meaning scaling with multiple campaign types, search campaigns, YouTube, display, discovery, for vertical scaling to work, which vertical scaling essentially is just increasing budgets or decreasing bids or ROAS values every few days. That's literally it. But after some point, what you will see is that with vertical scaling, you're going to reach a plateau level. You're going to reach a level of diminishing returns, where the moment you increase that budget above that certain point, it's going to actually drop your sales, drop your profitability. And for some reason, you're just not going to be able to scale beyond that number. This is a direct signal that you need to now focus on horizontal scaling. But before you even get to this level, if you're already incorporating horizontal scaling, it's going to be much easier for you to break these plateaus and not even reach these plateaus to begin with, because consistently you'll be ranking for new data, new kind of keywords, etc., which will help keep that traffic flow going, which will help that scale incoming. But finally, the last law on the list, which is smart bidding is greater than manual bidding. Now, what you want to understand is that smart bidding approaches is what works in 2024 with Google. It's no longer about manual bidding. If you try to go a manual bidding route, the Google Ads algorithm itself will cause problems within your ad account. It will prevent it from really scaling to the very next level. Instead, you want to be focused on the smart bidding side of things. You want to let the smart bidding approach kind of carry your entire account forward. You can incorporate a little bit of manual bidding during the process, but it should be a very, very small amount, because the moment you start making your entire account based on manual bidding is the moment your brand starts to struggle. It starts to really not be able to scale to the very next level. These are the 10 laws of Google Ads. We've been finding great success implementing these across the brands we handle under my Google Ads agency, Hero Marketing, which if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level, go on to my website, euromarketing.com, and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a brand which we recently scaled to multi 7 figures, and it's already over 8 figures at this point with Google Ads alone, using some of these 10 laws.